I mentioned to you when we chatted before that obviously there's a lot for me in what you're talking about when it comes to safety conversations, which resonates very strongly when it comes to well-being conversations as well. And actually, I particularly liked a section in the book where I actually hadn't thought about it, but I think it is something I'm going to add in, which is your how you arrive. I love that. I mean, I have something called approach in my model, but it's more a question of, you know, of adapting your approach to the individual and your relationship and that sort of thing. But this, I think, is really interesting in terms of that almost you've won or lost the conversation in terms of how you're actually approaching that space, isn't it? But what I actually wanted to ask you about was um, you're obviously um, you're talking about workplace frustrations and you're talking about solving workplace operational issues. And you've talked about relationships and things like that. But I'm wondering whether you don't think there's a missed opportunity in exploring the human at the same time. What's going on for you, what's going on in your life right now, because that it came very strongly for me with frustrations at work as opposed to necessarily how am I doing. Is there an opportunity to bring those conversations together, do you think?
Absolutely. I think it's many time a necessary conversation. It's something that comes up in conversations because if you start with just wanting to understand people at work, what they're experiencing, and they will lead you to whatever source of frustrations or delight that might be going on in their life at the moment. If it's impacting work, it's going to come up.
Yeah.
So a lot of the work I've been doing here in Australia has been in very remote areas where there's a fly in, fly
Mm.
out, where people live in camps
Yeah.
for a couple of weeks. They work long days. They go to camp, they eat dinner, they go to bed, and they go to back to the mines the next day, and so on.
Mm.
And they want to talk about what happens at camp, but they want to talk about how they're removed from their families, how they're worried about, they might be going through a divorce, or they have a suicidal teenager at home, and they are there. All these things is what they're sitting with while driving a big truck in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
It's this sort of holistic experience of work, and it takes you to these amazing stories of what people go
Yeah.
through while being at work.